Hey, it's Chase from Coin, and I'm here chatting with Milky.
Firstly, congratulations on the new album, Uncanny Valley. It's such a good record. Like, honestly, I've loved every minute of it. It's also kind of like a slight departure from your previous work. Like, I guess sonically a little bit, there's like that rap meets spoken word verse on Chapstick, and a bit more kind of like overall synth pop with little like threads of like dance and funk infused within. What kind of like prompted that, I guess, newer exploration of sound?
Probably insecurity, honestly. I think just kind of like forcing myself to be uncomfortable and doing things that were outside of myself while, simultaneously trusting my gut. It's like walking that tightrope of doing the thing that scares you, that's worth doing, but then also like, being honest with yourself too. So I think we did it well. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we did it well. I think we did well.
I think you guys did it well. I think you guys did it amazing. Like, honestly.
Thank you.
Album. Could you kind of like give us just a little overview of the concepts and themes explored across the record?
So we started the album in November of 2020, and it was the first week that maybe even the day that we released our first EP from Rainbow Mixtape called Indigo-Violet. And it was a very sonically like exploratory phase. And of course, 2020, the world was in shambles, including us. And so just kind of confused and lost. And I met Julian Bonetta, who we made the album with. And he told me this quote that day. Like, a successful expression of art is when who your audience thinks you are meets who you actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that at that moment, a lot of things shifted for me and clicked into place. And I realized that I couldn't deny where I've been, and I can't deny myself of where I want to go, but I just have to kind of just balance that. So it kind of, I was like, but I was drained because we had written so much that year. And so I used, we both watched this documentary. We spent a whole day watching a documentary called AlphaGo, which is about this like AI bot that they teach to win a very intuitive game called Go. Very human game, and they essentially have to create an algorithm for intuition. And this like sent me spinning. I was like, oh my gosh, if this is possible, like I don't even know what it means to be human at that point. Like there's some intangible thing that we can't measure, and it sent me reeling about figuring out, like, questioning what it means to be human, what's real, and so we wrote a song called "Learning" first that day, and super inspired by that song, by that documentary, and then we were like, okay, but what if we treat ourselves as the AI? Like our brains are the like really getting meta about like what is actually
I love it.
Like, and we're like, okay, let's feed us the parameters of Rolling Stone's "Start Me Up" and Gorillaz' "Feel Good Inc." And like, let's stay within those confines and like let's turn out our own composition. We did that 15 times essentially, and that was the framework of the album. And we just fed all of our inspirations to us, to our brains as like the engine, and just like press compute.
Yeah, so awesome. And so it's been 10 years since you guys formed, a bunch of albums and releases and EPs during that time. How do you think your approach to like creating music has evolved since those early days, like with a particular focus on Uncanny Valley?
Yeah, well, very early on, we didn't know how to collaborate, and we only knew how to do what each of us did. So we're like a triangle. And so Joseph would play guitar, Ryan would play drums, and I would sing. And we didn't know how to tell each other how to do each other's jobs better. We only knew how to just come together and do what we do. And over the years, each of us got so good at producing and writing. And I learned how to play guitar, and Ryan learned how to sing, and then Joseph learned how to play piano. And like, we're all like kind of, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. And it becomes like kind of a panel instead of like a pyramid, I guess. And it kind of, you end up with something that kind of nobody recognizes when you, I think I've heard this quote before. It's like, it sounds like some kind of business quote, but like, when there's more than one person in charge, no one's in charge.
Yeah.
And I feel like we shared the responsibility early on. It was perfect, but we kind of like all took charge in a way that for a while. So it kind of like morphed. And then with Uncanny Valley, we almost came back to our roots in the way that we truly collaborated, and each of us brought something new to the table. And I feel like we're standing on three legs again for the first time since the beginning of this band.
You guys always kind of nail the visual aesthetics of your album. How important is it for you guys like to create an engaging visual identity for the body of works? And like, how do you kind of settle on what you want like the visuals for each kind of body of work to look like?
I think it's an evolving process, and so much of it is a conversation it starts with ourselves and very, very intuitively and very within our circle. And but then it grows because it becomes so symbiotic, and we're not just doing this for us. As much as this is a conversation for us, and it's fun to put our journal on display for the world, at the end of the day, art is meant to be consumed and meant to be interpreted and meant to be assigned meaning to by people and other individuals. So it really becomes a conversation, and we're so lucky to kind of live in an age where we can kind of put the tent poles out there to be like, okay, we like this, this, and this, and kind of get really nerdy about the brand and like what we want people to feel and what we want to feel. And but then we see what people are attracted to and drawn to, and we start building the conversation as they kind of like connect the dots for us.
Which 3 songs would you pick off the album to play to someone who like never heard your music to make them like an instant diehard fan?
Oh man, that's such a good question. That's such a good question, because it's so weird, because I've never thought about that, because I've never thought about people discovering our band just today, like today. Which is what's happening all over the world. I guess I would say Chapstick as a way that's been like, you've never heard anything like this before, maybe for a good reason. But and then I would go oh man, from this album specifically, I would probably play Getting Older, because it's very much a song that feels like a true like representation of the 3 of us together. And the third one would probably be Black Box, I think. Those are the 3, and it's not like that. I think those are the 3 best songs in the album, or those mean the most to me, but because Plug Me In is actually my favorite song on the album. But I think I would play those 3 and say like, this is your like abridged version of kind of what we're about.
Yeah, sick, I love it. And so is there like a particular like line or lyric of the album that you find will get stuck in your head, or maybe like a lyric that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I think it's on Getting Older, and I think it's just the title. It's just, I'm getting older, I'm getting out of the way.
Yeah.
And there's something about that I'm still trying to learn. So it's my mantra.
And so you guys have a massive year ahead, performing at Bonnaroo, Lollapalooza, touring with 5 Sauce. Is, Shyman, the little AI robot, hitting the road, you guys?
Is he hitting the road? We have some special things planned. That's all I'll say right now.
Nice, love it. And so what kind of like effects do you think performing live has had on your own artistry?
I think it's kind of the same conversation as the conversation with our visuals, and then it's like the same thing happens with the music. It's almost like you're doing like data research or market research or something. I hate thinking of it like that, but when you play music, which this band was formed on the idea of playing live music. We didn't even know anything about writing songs or recording. We just wanted to just play in front of people. There was something like this community that we felt drawn to, and this energy we were following. So there's something that unlocks. We've been talking about this recently. It's not that we are like the best band that ever lived, but there's something special that comes together when we play. Each of us are not that good at what we do, but when we come together, like something special happens. I don't know what it is, but so kind of embracing that, like for a long time, again, we kind of went our separate ways, and I started working on stuff alone, and they would kind of like work alone, and none of us are as smart as all of us. And I think that live philosophy and coming back, really, because we lost it for 2 years. So coming back and being able to tour this, we toured this fall, and that's what got us over the finish line for this album. And we were able to finish the album in January very collaboratively and together physically. And we carried that emotion that we had from that tour, from the stage into the studio. Talking Heads, like gospel music, like old gospel music, like and Oasis. I'll end it there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one day I just hope to just meet David Byrne just to say hi. Honestly, that's the collab I need, just to shake his hand. Wow. Actually, I was younger. I was like 14, but maybe younger than that. But it was Viva La Vida by Coldplay.
Yes.
It was the moment that like I realized what an album could be. And it, even to this day, like Uncanny Valley wouldn't exist with that album because I learned how to tell a story. And yeah, so super thankful for that album. Both, sorry. Collide by Howie Day. I was like 10. Tokyo Police Club, and I was like 17 probably. Yeah. It's M83 at Firefly in 2015. It was like, yeah, that's when I realized that, oh, that this is what live music is supposed to be. I want to remember so badly. Oh, Ray Charles' Greatest Hits, 12 years old. Spice Girl, way better fashion and more longevity. My Spice name be? I mean, Ginger's already taken. I feel like I'm Ginger, but I don't know. I don't have one. Spice. There's definitely a few, but there was a special time where we played Soul, and something about every time we played there has been special, but specifically the first time we played there, because we just didn't know what to expect. And it was, these people had, these fans had all organized for the crowd to throw paper airplanes on the stage at the downbeat of one of our choruses. And they all just like hit us. Like, it was just beautiful. Like, they're all multicolored and there were like instructions on there. So like that moment, I'll just never forget that feeling of being like, oh my gosh, like people care about this as much as I care about this. Like, I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. Not even guilty. Like honestly, like really early country music, like Hank Williams. Yeah, that's like my favorite music to listen to right now. I had probably like 10 answers to this, but it's got to be Paul McCartney. I think it just like, and the Beatles, and just changed the landscape of what it means to be in a band. And I don't think that, I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if the Beatles hadn't done what they did. And I don't know if it was revolutionary because I wasn't around, but I even our late night performance the other night on Jimmy Kimmel was like reminiscent of like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. So we're still pulling from it all these years later. I don't know, because I don't know what the future holds. I guess look down, and I think that's it. I think I spend a lot of time looking up, and I hope I do that less in the future. I wanna like be more present and grateful for what's around me. Actually, thank you for that question. I don't know, 12 maybe, or a lot of formative things around that time. I learned how to play a song on the piano, and I played it at school. There was like a piano in like a classroom or something, and I played at school. And like all these people came around me, and they were listening to me like play it. And I wasn't singing or anything like that, but like I like felt seen for the first time, and I felt like understood. And so I think that was the moment where I was like, oh, I like this. And so I don't think it was a conscious decision then to be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But definitely a moment where I realized that was a feeling where I felt understood.